Men from all over the world sail the treacherous trade routes of the Indian Ocean. The riches in their holds fuel their dreams of power and fortune, while whetting the appetites of those they fear most. Pirates.
After 70 years, that what he goes there for is to unlock the door. No, we're never gonna survive.
Six knots, sir! 6 knots! Too damn slow! Kiss the girls, my lips would grow a moldy. Way ho away, we'll haul away.
We've got world premiere gameplay from the just announced Skull and Bones, and Justin is here to explain it all. Justin, thank you for coming by the show.
Absolutely.
Now, first we're going to take a look at the new trailer for the game, and there's a lot to discuss here. We'll pull that up, but ever since Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, people have been wanting an all-pirate, all-the-time game from Ubisoft. So is this an answer to those fans' requests, or is this actually something that came internally that you guys, you're like, this pirate stuff actually works really well, we should do a whole game on this?
Well, I think the idea of being a pirate is a very base fantasy. It's something we all wanted to be as kids, right?
Yeah.
And you look at that type of accessibility, the idea of true freedom and player agency. That's a very accessible and understandable fantasy. And we worked on naval combat in Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, the naval combat, naval gameplay, and just built upon that along with the studio strength of Ghost Recon Phantoms. It just made sense for us to build that type of game.
So you guys are building a multiplayer-focused,
absolutely,
pirate ship battle simulator. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a simulator; it's a tactical action game, and it's really about being a pirate on the Indian Ocean during the golden age of piracy. It's captures that aspect of piracy or the pirate fantasy that's really core, which is stealing and plundering at sea.
Sure. So your trailer here gives us a female pirate captain of the ship. But who are we playing as in this game? Are we creating our own characters?
Well, you're able to select from multiple captains, and you're able to customize your crew as well. And the idea is you want to upstart pirate. You start out penniless. You head from the Caribbean. You refuse the king's pardon. That's basically an offer of clemency. You sail for the Madagascar coast around the Pirates Round, and then you reach the Indian Ocean. And you've got to fight your way up to the top of the food chain and compete against other pirates, other players, and pirate kingpins that will challenge you along the way.
So different pirates to select from, do they have different characteristics, different skill sets, or what differentiates them?
Our customization is really centered around player choice and synergy within the class. You see in the demo that we showed at E3 and at the conference, it's a very traditional RPG archetypes that we adapt to our fantasy. So you're able to choose your captain, you're able to develop customization through the choices that you make in weapons and abilities.
So when you choose your captain, does everyone start out with the same ship?
Well, I mean, that's a little too early to talk about it, but that journey of being able to develop and customize your ship is pretty central to the journey in Skull and Bones.
I see. Are you trying to differentiate the captains by, let's say, one will have faster ships, one captain may be in control of sturdier ships?
Well, customization on your ships is where that comes into play.
Okay.
So you have sails configurations, the ability to manage the wind. The wind is really key for us. It's one of our key breakthroughs. If you're able to use the wind, you're really able to be a strong predator at sea. You're able to position yourself to strike and put yourself in the right position to take advantage of your prey.
I see. Now, this is a little tease at the end of the trailer, right, that you showed yesterday during the conference. Yeah. I think I know what we're teasing here. I think we're teasing deep sea monsters, a kraken maybe.
Well, Skull and Bones, you see it through the eyes of the sailors of the day. And these pirates and sailors, they believed in things like this. If you look at maps from hundreds of years ago, the corner of the maps are really ward you off. And they say, don't come over here, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
We want that fear that those pirates felt to be something that the player feels.
Well, so it sounds like you've done your research. On pirating.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, the idea of sailing, our developers, we just a month ago, we went sailing off the coast of France on a tall ship to learn how the wind and the ocean really affect that experience, from the way that the crews manage the rigging to the way that the sails are impacted by the water and the ocean and the wind. Yeah.
So that was the trailer, and now we've got some exclusive new footage here that we're seeing. So is this going to show us a little bit what the gameplay's like?
Well, this is just one of our modes. It's a PvP mode. It's 5 versus 5, and it really encapsulates the heart of being a pirate in Skull and Bones. It's the idea that you're a predator at sea, you're hunting for loot, and you're not alone. There are other pirates who also want that loot, and that's where the conflict comes in. So right here, you're seeing yourself line up against your team. You can use your tools to assess the situation, your wind map to assess your speed and positioning, and then you strike.
Are you guys hoping to have clan support, or how are people building their teams of pirates?
Well, pirate gangs are the fundamental aspect of how you'll carry yourself up the food chain and secure yourself as the ultimate pirate kingpin. You're going to have to be able to recruit your friends. This is just a PvP matchmaking mechanism within Loot Hunt, but you'll be able to build objectives and shared objectives that push you guys collectively up the food chain.
Interesting. All right, so your studio, you guys are kind of known for water.
Yeah,
it's
one of the strengths of our studio.
You do water really well, and I got to say, even though this is pre-alpha gameplay, your water looks very pretty here.
Thank you very much.
So, can you speak to a little bit what's happening here? Actually, I want to know about the steering. You said wind is very important.
Absolutely.
And I know down in the bottom right corner, you're always keeping track of how fast the wind is blowing, right?
Right, so it's not just understanding the position of the wind. You can see where it goes blue. That's basically saying you have the wind in the optimal position.
Got it.
And through customization, you'll actually be able to change your sails configuration to fit your playstyle. So if you have the wind at your back, you're going to be able to push yourself a little bit faster. And when you head into a headwind, you can stop and you'll be dead in the water when that happens.
That particular ship was acting as a battering ram.
Right, that's the Brigantine. It's a very up-close melee type of ship. It's a very intimate ship. It's not one I play. I like the Sloop of War, which is a long-range ship. And that's who you see right there. He keeps his distance. He uses long nines and precision. And when he's able to anchor, he can actually lock in and do more critical damage.
So does each player just have are you locked into one ship, or can
Well,
you
you
have
start out. You start out with one ship.
But you can gather more, purchase
Absolutely.
more?
Over
Interesting.
time, you can find new ships. It's like if you and I were playing online, and you're taking, say, the sloop of war, and I'm in a sloop of war, and we want to go hunt in the hunting grounds, which is our systemic shared world where you can sail solo or co-op. Maybe I'm going to pick a ship that complements yours, or maybe I'm going to pick an ability that matches something that we can use together.
I see. And then once in a game, each player is the captain of their own ship.
Right.
So you're not like teaming up on with multiple players on one ship.
Not on one ship. I mean, it's really about that freedom of being a pirate, having your crew, that relationship between your crew, and taking that crew out and hunting on the seas.
So if you're acting as pirates, what are you actually doing and controlling during a match? Are you always have to be steering the ship?
Well, like I said, our pirates are predators, right? So we want to give them tools that make them feel smart and powerful. Just like in nature, they're the ones who control the environment. They have the ability to use the crow's nest to assess. You saw when we went up to the crow's nest, you can get a 360 view. You have the spyglass, which can give you intel about your target, even highlight the cargo that it has or the weaknesses. And then you're able to use your weapons within each station. And you're just seeing a small taste of the weapons that we're developing for our ships and ship types.
Well, you have your crew.
Right.
Is that something else that you're like, you are gathering and trying to build and cultivate?
Right. You'll be able to go to locations and taverns and collect and develop your crew over time. Your crew is a reflection of your accomplishments, right? So it's a little early to talk about how deep we're taking it, but we want players to feel like a ship really reflects their experiences and accomplishments.
This is a little bit of a non sequitur, but I'm playing a lot of Disgaea 5 on my Switch.
Yeah.
Totally different game, but in that game I build a party, and each member of my party has a name and different stats, and I get to know them and care about them. Are we going to get to know our crew members in this game?
In Skull and Bones, it's very important for us to tell a story, right? And a story means characters. And on your ship, you see Silva Mercy is your first mate. He's the one who helps execute the orders. You go up to the top of the crow's nest, and you have another character that, again, it's a little early to talk about a lot of those characters, but those relationships are really important. You're going to meet historic and historically inspired characters along the way, too.
And can you assign specific tasks to your crew? Like if you want to go man the cannons or go up and have a look. Well, up top, you want to say you can take over steering.
There are ways for us to automate firing, right? If you want to focus on an aspect of it, you can blind fire. It's auto-aiming, but it's really about being able to control the ship on the intimate level. So when you go to aim at another ship and you use your precision aiming, you go right down with the crew. You're down there with the cannon crew, and you're aiming at your target.
I see. So we achieved, we just saw victory here, right?
Yeah, they were able to escape with their loot. That's really what it's all about. Not just in the PvP mode, but the whole game is about being able to capture the most loot and push yourself up to the top.
I love loot. Like what type of loot are we going to be? What's the booty?
I mean, it's early to talk about it, but we are set, again in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And the spice was what fueled the economy, the same way that oil does today. So you have all these commodities that from any of the regions that we'll explore will become critical to you using to develop your ships and your fleet, etc.
Now we're looking at some more new footage here. Can you explain what's happening here? Is this a different type of mode?
This is just open sailing. What we want to show here is really how the player gets signs and feedback that tell him the direction of the wind and the impact of the ocean. So you can see, again, some of our beautiful ocean and the depth that comes with it. I don't know where my glasses, but I'm pretty sure if you guys are, you can see there is wildlife and other stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to ask.
Yeah, below the water, you can see some stuff there too.
Oh, I see those sharks. Yeah, so like hunting in the sea was a big part of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Is that something you're going to incorporate here?
Well, wildlife is an important part of our ecosystem. It's a little early to talk about how we'll expose that. But you're not a fisherman, right? It's not it's not our experience, but we do want players to be able to interact in a logical way with the things that they see and experience in Skull and Bones.
And you said what we were seeing earlier, man, this is really pretty here.
Thanks.
Like I think we were talking about before we started filming, you worked on Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I love that game, and you spent over 100 hours just sailing around in that world, and I look forward to doing that in Skull and Bones as
awesome,
well.
Man. Me too.
And I love the sea. Are there sea shanties?
Yeah, absolutely, and they're brand new.
Oh, nice.
You'll notice that we wanted to take what fans really loved and appreciated about sea shanties and put that as part of our experience. And again, we're going to want to give players a lot more control in how they experience shanties and discover them along the way on their journey.
You were saying the match we were watching before, the PvP mode, is just one mode.
Right.
Can you give us any idea of sort of like, I know it's early, but how many modes or what other types of modes you're playing with or thinking about?
I mean, we're taking a very logical and practical approach in how we develop it. You're going to hear more about that over time. But what I want to emphasize is we're not building one-offs to the experience. So every one of the modes that we have will follow the same rules of the rest of the world. So if you see things like pirate hunters in our PvP mode, you should expect to see them in the rest of Skull and Bones.
I see. So you're building this as a multiplayer game. So to clarify, is there any, I know you can choose to go it alone, but is there any sort of single player story or campaign?
Our campaign is actually integrated into the experience in our PvE and our PvP.
I see.
So players, again, they start as an upstart captain. They work their way up. Yeah, I mean, narrative's important. We want to tell stories, but we want the player ultimately to help shape the world, impact the world, and have it react to them and become part of that journey and that story. We want players to help us be storytellers too.
I see. I'm noticing a lot of ornate decorations on the ships. Is that part of are there going to be cosmetic customizations?
Absolutely. I mean, when I have a ship, I want people to be jealous of my ship. I want them to envy the ship that I have. That's why we have a lot of, you can see the external camera, the internal camera. We have ways for players to really take pride in the ships that they're building. They're magnificent beauty, and we want people to be really proud of them.
So in that same regard, how are you handling defeat or your ship being sunk?
It's early to talk about it, but loot and looting from your enemies is a key part of the fantasy, and we're not taking that from you.